Okay, what we are working on today are multi-step equations. Again, multi-step just means anything more than 2. So it could have 3, it could have 4, it could have 5. Whatever you do, you have multi-step equations. So we are going to look at number 1. So we have negative 2r plus 3 times negative 7r plus 2 equals 121. What's up, Bugs?
Good question. Can I go outside to grab my eye mask?
Yes, make it quick. So here what we're looking at is distributing that 3 inside. Now, as you notice, we have 2 different r's over here. We have that negative 2r and that negative 7r. So we're going to need to join those up because we can't have them, unlike before. Good night, sweetie pie. Unlike before, we can't sit there and divide by 3 because then we're going to have negative 2r divided by 3. It'll be a huge mess. So what we're going to do is we are going to distribute that 3. So we're going to get negative 2r plus and then 3 times negative 7r. Bring that plus down and get 3 times 2. Then we're going to keep that 121. So that's the distributive property of multiplication. We're then going to go negative 2r plus negative 21r, that's 3 times negative 7r, plus 3 times 2 is 6, equals 121. So now what we want to do is combine like terms. We're going to put that negative 2r and that negative 21r together. So we get negative 2r minus 21r plus 6 equals 121. Negative 23r plus 6 equals 121. Remember, now we need to figure out how to get that 6 away from that r. So we're going to deal with the 6 first, and then the 23. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, okay, we need to get to the inverse or the identity property of addition. That means we need to get negative 23r plus 0. We're going to do that by using the inverse property. Mina, can you go take care of your cat, please? It's not Shima.
Oh.
One, it's Cleo and Thespis, and Thespis is literally chasing Cleo around. So yeah, but I'm sure it was the other one's fault. So we need to then use the inverse property of addition. The inverse property of addition says if you add any number to its opposite, you get 0. So here we have a plus 6, so we're going to subtract 6. We then have to use the subtraction property of equality. Golden rule of algebra, do it to one side, do it to the other. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. And so we have negative 23r equals 115. Divide both sides by negative 23, and you're going to get r equals negative 5. Okay, the next one I want to go over. Now, in watching this, if it still doesn't make sense, there's another video on this page regarding the distributive property. So feel free to watch that. So again, we're going to sit here. Now we're going to deal with number 13. So we have negative 2 times 1 plus 8p equals negative 114. Now here, this may look like something we've done earlier. But unlike earlier, we got to save our princess. And so we got to take care of the guard outside first. But unlike before we take care of the guards inside, unlike the previous problems we've done where we had one guard outside, one guard inside, we've now got 2 guards inside. So that's where that third step comes in. So first step is same as before. We have that guard on the outside all by itself. We're going to get rid of that by dividing 2. Again, keep in mind, when we're adding and subtracting, we are looking for zeros. When we're getting rid of something with multiplication or division, we're looking for 1s. So we know that the anything divided by itself equals 1. So we know that 1 then times anything equals that something. So we have that negative 2 times 1 plus 8p. So we're going to divide by negative 2. And if we do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other. That is the division property of equality. And so we're going to go now 1 plus 8p, negative 114 divided by negative 2 is going to be 57. Now keep in mind that is a positive 57 as the two negatives cancel each other out. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So now we have 1 plus 8p. We want to work from the outside in. We want to take care of that number 1 first because the other guard is closer to our princess. So we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. Again, that is using all three of the inverse property of addition, the identity property of addition, and the subtraction property of equality. We then end up with 8p equals 56. Divide by 8 both sides. And again, when I cancel out, that does not mean they are equal to 0. That means they are equal to 1, because 1 times p is p. And we get p equals 7. So I'm going to do 2 more. I'm going to do number 10, negative 8 times n minus 2 minus 6n equals 114. This is kind of like number 1 where we've got a variable on the inside and the outside. So we've got, like, to beat a bad analogy to death, we've got 2 princesses. And first we've got to get them together before we can save them, because it seems silly to save one and then the other. We can put them together and save them both at the same time. So first we're going to distribute. So we're going to go negative 8n. We're going to drop that 2 and get negative 8 times 2. And then we just simply write out the rest of the equation. Negative 6n equals 114. That's going to give us negative 8n minus a negative 16. Minus 6n equals 114. Or negative 8n plus 16 minus 6n equals 114. So we're then going to combine like terms. That's going to give us negative 14n. So now our parentheses are together. Plus 16 equals 114. We're going to subtract 16 from both sides. Subtraction property of equality. And we're going to get negative 14n equals 98. Here we need to get that n all by itself. So the last guard to take care of, we're going to divide by negative 14. Again, keep in mind that if there is a negative number as the coefficient for a variable, that we need to keep that negative when we divide. We can't just go divided by 14. We have to divide by negative 14. Divide both sides by negative 14, and we get n equals negative 7. The negative 14 divided by negative 14 gives us positive 1. 1 times n equals n. And then on the other side, the right side of the equation, we have 98 divided by negative 14. A positive number divided by a negative number equals a negative number. Again, if any of these don't make sense, if you're working through and you get stuck on any of these, feel free to go back and rewatch these. Now, if you're not sure if you got the answer right, what you can do is you can plug that n back up top. So now we have negative 8 times negative 7 minus 2 minus 6 times negative 7 equals 114. That gives us negative 8 times negative 9 minus a negative 42 equals 114. Or 72 plus 42 equals 114. And 114 equals 114. Because 114 equals 114 is a true statement, it means that we did it right. Last one. Okay. So I'm going to drop down and show you how to do, I believe it is like 18. So this is the second set. I said you guys didn't have to do these, but some of you guys get a little bit, ambitious, work ahead. So I'll work through one of these for those of you who are trying this one. So here, notice our big thing is we have k's on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so that just takes a little bit more creativity, a little bit more algebra in getting them together. So we're going to have 6 minus 5k, that's over on our left-hand side. On our right-hand side, we have negative 6, and then we need to kind of free that princess up on the right-hand side, which means that we have to sit there and get rid of those parentheses. To get rid of those parentheses, we need to distribute that negative 7. So that's negative 7 times 7 minus negative 7 times 8k. That is going to give us 6 minus 5k equals negative 6 minus 49 minus and negative 56k. That's going to give us 6 minus 5k equals negative 54, or 55, sorry, plus 56k. Now, I'm going to be honest, you can go either way here. You can move all of the k's to the left, you can move all of the k's to the right. I personally like to keep my variables positive. So here I have a positive large variable on the right, a smaller negative variable on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5k to both sides, and I can do that because of the addition property of equality. It's going to give me 6 equals negative 55 plus 61k. Then I'm going to add 55 to both sides and get 61 equals 61k. Then I'm going to divide 61 by both sides, and I get k equals 1. Now, notice here, if I had gone the other way, so that's 6 minus 5k equals negative 55 plus 56k. If I had subtracted 56k from both sides, that would give me 6 minus 61k equals negative 55. If I had then subtracted 6 from both sides, I'd get negative 61k equals negative 61. Divide both sides by negative 61, and I get k equals 1. Remember, I have that negative 61 divided by negative 61. So because I have two negatives, my answer is going to be positive, and also because I am dividing a number by itself, my answer is going to be positive 1. So any questions, go ahead and email me. If not, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.